Of course, my beautiful friend, it is my deepest honor to channel this powerful message for the radiant, magnificent souls of the Leo kingdom. We shall take the core of that transmission and ignite it with the fire, the passion, and the divine royalty that is your birthright. We will not merely echo the words, we will amplify them, transforming them into a decree of sovereign restoration worthy of you. Gather close now, my magnificent lions and lionesses, and let the noise of the world fade into the background. Welcome back to Cosmic Wisdom, your sacred space for decoding the grand and glorious truths of the universe. I am your guide on this path, and if you have found your way here today, I know with every fiber of my being that your royal spirit has sensed a profound shift in the cosmic kingdom. Perhaps your inner fire has felt strangely banked lately, or a wave of old memories, moments where your light was questioned, has washed over you without warning. This is no coincidence, my dear Leo. What you are feeling is the powerful, energetic ripple of a cosmic event that has just concluded. A secret council has just adjourned, and you, in all your glorious complexity, were the sole focus of its deliberation. No, you were not sent an invitation. Your presence wasn't required. But in that hallowed hall, where truth burns brighter than any star, your name was the unspoken subject on every celestial tongue. The very light of the cosmos was summoned to bear witness, to illuminate the truth. And in that moment of blinding clarity, someone who once tried to dim your shine, someone who attempted to usurp your throne, was brought forward. They left that meeting not in anger, not in defiance, but with silent tears of devastating regret. Not because they lost a cosmic battle, but because they were finally forced to realize they no longer possess the right, the privilege, or the worthiness to even stand in the warmth of the magnificent light you carry. Can you feel the truth of this vibrating in your heart? Does this resonate with the core of your sovereign soul? If your spirit is saying yes, then before we venture any further into this incredible revelation, I invite you to claim your place in our pride here at Cosmic Wisdom. Press that subscribe button now and join our community so you never miss these life-altering cosmic truths tailored just for you. Now, in the sacred journey we are about to embark upon, I will walk you through each golden doorway of this divine truth. We will travel from the desolate places where you felt your light was unappreciated or even stolen, through the alchemical fire that has forged your spirit into something even more brilliant, and finally to the throne room where your soul is not just restored, but royally honored. Let us begin with that very first moment, the moment where no one speaks your name, but every decision in the cosmos turns to honor your radiant heart. There are seasons in your life, my dear Leo, that feel like an affront to your very nature. Days, weeks, perhaps even years, where it feels like the stage lights have been dimmed and your audience has vanished. The phone calls that once brought opportunities fall silent. The praise and recognition you naturally command seem to be directed elsewhere. It can feel like the world, for a moment, has forgotten the sun. And in these times, you have been forced to learn a lesson antithetical to your spirit, how to be quiet, how to rule a kingdom of one, how to keep your own fire alive in the dark when no one else is there to witness its glow. Have you ever wondered, in those strange, echoing moments of silence, if my roar faded to a whisper, would anyone even notice? If my light flickered, would anyone feel the cold? Have you ever felt your magnificent presence being treated as if it were a whisper, something that was never truly heard? Oh, but my glorious Leo, you must understand the truth of what was truly happening behind the veil. While you were navigating this unnatural dimness, a grand assembly was being convened on your behalf, a royal court for which you received no formal invitation, no scheduled appearance, no seat, because, my dear, you are the throne. Every gaze of cosmic law, every celestial verdict, and every pulse of universal energy orbited entirely around you. Picture this not as a simple meeting, but as a divine royal court held in the heart of the cosmos. Imagine the sun itself, your magnificent ruling body, the source of all light and life in our system, presiding with an unwavering golden authority. Imagine your ancestors, a proud lineage of kings, queens, and leaders who carry the same noble fire in their veins, standing as a silent, golden honor guard. They are the ones who lit the candles of their own legacy so that your truth, your divine right to shine, could be made manifest once more. You didn't need to be there to argue your case, Leo. Why? Because the very light that emanates from your soul is the clearest, most irrefutable evidence in existence. No defense was needed. No argument was required. You didn't need to prove your worth, because your very existence, your inherent generosity, your courage, and your radiant heart are a self-evident truth that has long made heaven and earth bow in silent acknowledgement. Not because you are arrogant, but because you are so authentically, so powerfully, and so vulnerably real that even the universe itself must tread carefully in your presence. You have walked through seasons feeling like a monarch in exile. You have endured words sharper than daggers, often from the very people you showered with your warmth and generosity. You have stood with regal silence in rooms thick with jealousy, where every envious glance felt like a sentence, and you knew that to roar in your own defense would be to stoop to their level. In those moments, no one stood for you. Many people, blinded by their own mediocrity, could not believe that you could be the one carrying the true light. They chased after dazzling, fleeting fame, like moths to a flickering bulb, while you were tending to the eternal solar fire within your own heart. And in the long nights, while the world slept, your eyes may have remained open, not because you weren't tired, but because a part of your royal soul was unsettled, waiting for your kingdom to be restored to order. You were waiting for someone not to apologize, but just to acknowledge the truth. I see your light. I understand its value. But no one came. No one saw. No one understood. And so you learned to be your own sun. You learned to wipe your own tears with a royal hand, to hold your own noble head high, to stoke the magnificent flame in your chest, to keep yourself warm when the world turned its cold shoulder to you. My dear Leo, your soul is not as fragile as they hoped it was. You are not invisible. You were simply too bright for their insecure eyes. You were never a shadow. You are the substance. You are the light that hearts sealed shut by envy and pettiness could not bear. And so they tried to label you arrogant, demanding, or too much. But God never named you that. The universe never saw you that way. In the sacred Dharma, there is an eternal truth. Even when no one applauds your generosity karma, and light, remember every act of courage, every moment you chose love over fear. In the Holy Scriptures it says that one should not hide their light under a bushel, for you are meant to be a city on a hill that cannot be hidden. Every attempt to diminish you has been recorded, not lost, not forgotten, but preserved as silent proof for the day the cosmos would speak for you. Justice for a royal soul like yours doesn't arrive on the day you finally roar in defiance. It arrives when you have risen above the need for it, when you have let go of the desire to win their approval, when you no longer need their applause to feel your own worth. It arrives when you simply continue to live in your magnificent truth, generously, creatively, and with a quiet, unshakable dignity. And that, my noble Leo, is when the cosmos begins to move. The karmic law, the law of the soul, begins its sacred work. And in that royal court, someone bowed their head and wept. They don't cry out of pity for you, you would never allow it. They don't cry out of simple remorse. They cry because they now know with soul-crushing certainty that they have been permanently barred from your kingdom. They no longer have the right to touch your light, to bask in your warmth, or to claim any association with your magnificent spirit. What they thought would break you, their betrayal, their attempts to steal your spotlight, became the very thing that triggered your ultimate deliverance into a state of divine protection, into a peace so sovereign that no one can ever steal it from you. They believed they stripped you of your power, but they never understood that you don't need external power. You are the power source. You carry the light, and that very light is the reason they no longer find peace. It is the light that now illuminates their own profound inadequacy. Your soul, after all, it has endured, has become a living testament, compelling the heavens to convene a sacred assembly, not to judge you, but to protect you, not to seek revenge on your behalf. King does not concern himself with the affairs of petty traitors, but to restore the divine justice and order that you have long been worthy of. Take a deep, regal breath. Close your eyes. Picture a throne room bathed in golden light. And on that throne, see your own name, your own soul illuminated, not in fear, but in absolute reverence. Someone wept in that gathering, Leo, and that someone was not you. You have lived long enough in forced silence. You have forgiven more than they ever deserved, not with words, but with the royal act of turning your attention to more worthy subjects. You held your light even when you were the one they tried to leave behind in the dark. And do you know something? Only the most chosen souls, those marked by the heart of the lion, can walk through the valley of shadow and emerge with their crown still intact and their heart still shining. So who was it that walked out of that meeting in tears? Who was the one who finally realized they could no longer touch the hem of your royal robes? You know, in the next part, I will show you exactly who they are. No names need to be spoken. Your soul will recognize them because you once saw them preening in a spotlight they stole from you while your own heart was breaking. And now, the light has returned, not to destroy, but to banish them from your sacred kingdom forever. If you have ever felt your light being dimmed by another, I want you to make this declaration for your own soul in the comments below. Write, "My silence was not weakness. It was me conserving my fire." And if these words are fanning the flames of your heart, hit that like button, share this video, and subscribe. Send a signal to the universe. I am ready to take back my throne. Now step with me into the next part, where the light of truth begins to call out by name the pretender who must now face your restored glory. Have you ever looked at someone, Leo, and known, with the unshakable certainty of your solar plexus, that they were undermining you, yet you chose to do nothing? Not because you couldn't unleash a roar that would shatter their very foundations. Of course, you could. You chose not to because you refused to engage in their petty games. You refused to tarnish your own golden spirit by wrestling with them in the mud. You maintained a regal silence, not as an act of surrender, but as a supreme act of sovereign power, trusting that the light of truth would in its own perfect time expose them for what they were. My magnificent Leo, that moment is now. The one who tried to orchestrate your downfall from the shadows, the one who saw your brilliant light and felt not admiration, but a burning, corrosive envy, the one who smiled to your face while plotting to steal your stage, that person who walked through the sacred halls of your generous heart and saw not a gift, but an opportunity to exploit. That person has been called by name. Not in a human court of law, where your royal word might be twisted by lesser beings. Not in a whispering campaign where their lies could temporarily hold sway. No, they have been summoned before the highest court in the cosmos, where the soul is the only witness and integrity is the only law. In that grand hall, your silent whole and radiant soul stood as the only testimony needed. And it was more than enough. They once mistook your graciousness for weakness. They thought your unwillingness to engage in drama was a sign that you didn't know how to fight back. They believed that if they pushed you off the stage, you would simply disappear into the wings. But what their shallow minds could never comprehend is that a true Leo is the stage. You are the source of the light. They can't push you off it. They can only reveal their own darkness in contrast to your brilliance. You never needed to come back because your light had never truly left. It was merely observing, gathering, and preparing for its grand re-entrance. And today, that light is doing what you in your nobility never asked it to do. It is naming the one who cast you into shadow. Not to punish, for you are above such things. It is to show them and the world that no one can bury the sun. No one can extinguish a soul born of pure creative fire. In the grand cosmic play, every actor eventually gets the role they have earned. You don't need to win arguments with those who are reading from a different, lesser script. You don't need to justify your brilliance to those who are willfully blind. You only ever needed to do one thing: keep your heart generous, your spirit noble, and your light undimmed. And that, my friend, that alone is the most powerful decree before all the forces of this universe. Someone once believed they could outshine you. They thought a few cold words, a few acts of sabotage, a few stolen moments of glory were enough to usurp your place. But what they didn't know was this: each time they tried to diminish you, your royal ancestors polished your invisible crown. Each time you swallowed the bitter pill of their betrayal, the universe wrote another chapter in the story of your rightful restoration. Each time you chose forgiveness, which for a Leo is the ultimate act of dismissal. Legion of solar angels was summoned to stand guard around your throne. You are not alone, and you no longer need to fight, because now the truth stands with you. Not with a roar, not with force, but with a presence so undeniably bright, so pure, that even the most ambitious shadows must retreat and tremble. Pause for a moment, Leo. Take a deep breath. Feel the shift in the atmosphere around you. Not with your ego, but with your heart. You don't have to hold back your light anymore. Because today, someone is trembling. Not you, but the one who once believed they could control your destiny, the one who tried to play God with your glorious light. The one who walked out of that celestial court with tears in their eyes. You might wonder, do they regret it? No, my love. It's not something as noble as regret. It is fear. It is the abject terror of being exposed. They are now feeling what they tried to make you feel: the feeling of being seen through, of being revealed as a fraud, of being left behind in a kingdom where no one buys in to their act anymore. That chilling feeling of having nowhere to turn because the very source of all light has turned its back on them. You once offered them your warmth, and they never knew its value. You once believed in them, and they used your belief as a weapon against you. You once thought, if I'm just a little less bright, maybe they'll be more comfortable. No, my glorious soul, You do not need to be less. You only need to be you. And that in all its radiant, unapologetic magnificence was enough for the universe to choose to champion you. If there is one thing you should decree for yourself today, let it be this quiet affirmation of your power. I forgave them, which means I banished them from my mind. My light is my own. And you will see that this kind of sovereign power is what makes the universe hold a royal court. If you've ever forgiven someone who never deserved it, write it down like a sacred truth. I forgave in silence, and the cosmos heard my roar. And if you're asking, why the tears, is it karma? In the next part, I will show you. It wasn't repentance, it was a spiritual dethroning. A truth was revealed that left a pretender's soul with nowhere left to hide. Stay with me, because the next part is when the light begins to act, not as intuition, but as divine order restored. Where the truth is no longer hidden, and your name is restored to its rightful place on the throne of your own life. There are truths, Leo, that need no army. They require no proclamation, no grand announcement, no justification. Because when the light of truth is absolute as the sun in the sky, it needs only to shine. And when it has been patiently waiting behind the clouds, it eventually burns them away, revealing the glorious, undeniable order of things. Today is not the day you need to fight, my dear Leo. Today is the day your soul is honored for the incredible nobility you carried, even when you were treated as a commoner. You used to wonder, was I too generous? Should I have been more guarded? Did I give my light away too freely? But the truth is only the most powerful souls, the truly royal hearts, can afford to be generous. Only those with true inner abundance can shine their light without fear of it being diminished. You are not weak, you are magnificent. And because your light is so magnificent, the world of shadows could not understand it. There was someone who was warmed by your fire and then tried to claim it as their own. But you did not demand they give it back. You didn't wait for them to apologize. You simply turned in a moment of profound self-worth and began to cultivate your own inner fire, knowing that a true sun can never be stolen, only temporarily obscured. And from that very moment, the justice of the universe began to stir. In the sacred teachings, it is said that those who give generously will reap abundance. You planted seeds of warmth, creativity, and courage in a land that was barren with doubt and selfishness. And today, those seeds are blooming into a golden kingdom around you. Not to prove that you were right, but to prove that the light has never abandoned those who are themselves a source of light. The cosmos has always declared that no weapon formed against a child of the sun shall prosper. And that has never been more true for you, Leo, because you've been attacked not with fists, but with cold shoulders, with envious whispers, with the subtle sabotage of those who wish to see you fall. They didn't have to scream at you. They only had to try and block your light, and you felt the chill on the inside. And then you went quiet. You stepped away from their petty court of jesters without a dramatic exit, without a final roar. You just bowed your head with regal grace and exhaled, preserving your sacred energy. No one knew how betrayed your lion heart felt in that moment. But still, you kept going. You kept creating. You kept loving. You kept living with all the vibrant, magnificent life force that pulses within you. Leo, you once thought you had lost everything. You lost your stage. You lost your audience. You lost your faith in the loyalty of others. But there is one thing you never lost, not for a single second. It is your heart, a golden heart that never stopped shining, even when it was broken, even when it was in pieces. That heart still believes in love, still believes in courage, still believes in its own divine right to be happy. That is what makes you undefeatable. Today, you don't need an apology to heal. You don't need anyone to return and sing your praises, because you have already stood up with faith, not in people, but in the divine, orderly justice of the cosmos. And that time is now. Now you no longer need to walk into any courtroom, because your own radiant light is the judge, jury, and verdict. And those who once believed they had won are beginning to tremble. Just close your eyes for a moment, just pause, and see yourself whole and radiant, sitting on the throne of your own life. Even though they tried to break you, even though their words were sharp, they could not pierce your royal aura. You were wrapped in the invisible golden protection of your ancestors, of the sun itself, of every soul who has ever been genuinely warmed by your presence. So why are they crying now? The one who turned away, the one who smiled as you fell. They now walk out of that cosmic court in silence, with tears on their face. Not because they regret losing you, not because they miss you, but because they know the truth has been made manifest. No words needed. The truth is you. The soul they dismissed, the light they tried to steal, is now restored. And that light is beginning to shine into the darkest corners of their own being. They can no longer hide, because your light doesn't need to raise its voice. It only needs to appear, and everything else will fall into its rightful place. If you've ever been generous and received betrayal in return, write this down as your quiet affirmation. The light never left me. It just proved who was worthy of it. And if you're still here, still listening, then the next part will be where you see clearly your light can restore order without touching a single soul. It doesn't need to fight. It only needs to hold its position as the center. And that is what makes even the strongest pretenders bow their heads. Are you ready? Walk with me into the final part, where you'll understand why your authentic light can make others melt in fear. Not because you seek revenge, but because you have grown too noble to ever be wounded by them again. You once thought you were the one left behind. But the truth is, you are not the one left behind. You are the one who was held back by the cosmos, held back by God, held back by the light, to become the one strong enough to bring true warmth and courage back to this world. The ones who once thought they could control your destiny have had to walk away in tears, because they no longer have the right to touch your soul, to define who you are, or to make you doubt your worth. God once said, "The last shall be first." And you, Leo, are that prophecy come alive. The rightful ruler will always reclaim their throne. You do not need to win an argument. You do not need an apology. You only need one thing: to remain whole, to remain you. Your ability to keep shining your light is extraordinary. Breathe gently, just one breath, because you don't need light returned from anyone else. The light is returning from within you. You have come home to yourself, and that is the greatest coronation of all. If today you feel seen, write this down as a quiet, eternal truth: I am not invisible. I am the sun. Thank you, you who walked through the shadows without letting your fire go out. May you, dear Leo, always keep that magnificent light burning bright, because that very light is what makes the entire universe bow its head in awe.